ITV News at 10 with Mark Austin and Mary Nightingale.
Good evening. The Prime Minister backed her, but a hard-hitting speech by Theresa May on immigration has drawn criticism from inside her own party and outright attack from some outside. The Home Secretary told the Conservative Party conference that society could not cope with high levels of immigration and there was no economic case for it. Our Deputy Political Editor Chris Shipp heard Mrs May's speech and the reaction to it.
There is no doubt some in Theresa May's party liked what she had to say about immigration today.
Excellent speech, Pat.
Thank you very much.
But the politician who once told the Conservatives they needed to stop being the nasty party was having that label today directed at her. And it was because the speech she gave here, backed up with questionable evidence, was uncompromising on the effects of immigration.
When immigration is too high, when the pace of change is too fast, it's impossible to build a cohesive society. It's difficult for schools and hospitals and core infrastructure like housing and transport to cope.
She was effectively trashing her own record, given she's the Home Secretary under whom net migration has reached record levels. But it's all been, economically at least, she said, for nothing.
At best, the net economic and fiscal effect of high immigration is close to zero. So there is no case in the national interest for immigration of the scale we have experienced over the last decade.
Some liked it, but some most definitely did not. And the man who, like Theresa May, is seen as a potential replacement for David Cameron as leader, couldn't find a single word of support.
Anti-immigration, there's no benefits to immigration, it's forcing people out of their jobs.
Well,
Do you agree with any of that?
I have to confess to you, I didn't hear all of the Home Secretary speech.
You're right here, look. We can't have a cohesive society if we have too high immigration.
Thank you very much, thank you.
One fellow minister, however, did find the words.
Immigrants bring to our country huge benefits, culturally, socially, obviously work-wise. That's my view, and I believe that's what the Conservative Party believes as well.
The former England footballer, now Tory supporter Sol Campbell, is the son of Jamaican-born parents.
And when she says things like there is zero benefit, zero economic benefit from having immigration, is she right?
I'm not there, but I do know there are a lot of people who have come here, pay their taxes and want to work.
Nurses, of course, are among those who come here and pay their taxes, and the boss of NHS England said today he isn't even happy with the current immigration rules.
Most hospitals tell me that the idea that we would seriously consider deporting some of our most experienced and committed nurses solely because they're not earning £35,000 a year clearly needs a rethink.
Beyond the security fence of the Tory conference, Greater Manchester is one of the most ethnically diverse parts of the country. Migrants who work have been shown to boost the public finances, but there are communities where immigration has strained services, and the Home Secretary was speaking on behalf of those people, insisted one of her cabinet colleagues.
I want to go to
Theresa May was speaking for the communities affected by immigration.
Well, I want to make the point that, you go and ask them what they think about her speech, and they will tell you that is what the issue is. The issue is controlled migration. They want to know that they have time to assimilate people.
And if this was all about a leadership pitch, Ian Duncan Smith had this advice for Theresa May and Boris Johnson.
But all I would suggest to my colleagues is this: a little less on leadership and a little more on delivery. That'll do me fine.
Roughly summed up as please be quiet and get back to your work. Chris Shipp, ITV News, Manchester.
Well, Mrs May sounded pretty confident in her claims, for example, that high levels of immigration bring next to no economic benefit. But the Institute of Directors say that's nonsense. So we asked our economics editor, Richard Edgar, to put some of Mrs May's claims to the test.
The Home Secretary's speech has provoked an outcry today. Let's take a look at some of her comments. We know that for people in low-paid jobs, wages are forced down even further, she said. Well, indeed they are, but only for the very low-paid. Wages for the bottom 5% of earners, people earning about £9,500 or less, are pushed down 0.6% by immigration. Everyone else has seen a rise. Middle-income earners have seen immigration push their wages up by 0.7%. But notice that the impact at each level is very small.
It does seem to have some small negative impact on wages at the bottom, but the best estimate suggests it's no more than a few pence an hour at most. So it's really not very much compared to other factors that also influence wages for people on low pay, like, for example, the minimum wage.
On jobs, the Home Secretary warned that some people are forced out of the jobs market altogether. Well, surprisingly, no major studies find that immigration has an impact on unemployment, and companies regularly complain that they need immigrants to fill jobs.
It is a myth that immigrants steal our jobs. If that were the case, we wouldn't have the record number of people employed that we do today.
Now, the Home Secretary also said that it's difficult for hospitals to cope. It's true that hospitals need to adjust to the higher numbers of immigrants they have to serve, but on the whole, non-Brits tend to use the NHS less. Adults born in the UK get £2,765 of healthcare spent on them each year, but migrants receive about £300 less, and migrants who've arrived in the past 10 years, which includes the ways from Eastern Europe, the least of all. Why? Well, they tend to be younger and fitter than the average UK population, so they need less medical care. Of course, they pay taxes, which contribute to NHS funding. Their work and consumption help to drive the economy. So why did Theresa May say, at best, the net economic and fiscal effect is neutral? Well, the figure she was quoting is the average for all rich countries. But the figures for the UK in that study show that migrants here contribute more to the taxman than Brits, about 16% more. So that's misleading. Estimates in other UK-specific research vary, but the official independent budget watchdog, the OBR, says that without the contribution of migrants to the public purse, government debt would be 78% higher by 2062. Undoubtedly, the large numbers of arrivals from other countries are triggering social changes, and their economic impact is unleashing a political storm.
Richard Edgar there. Well, the Prime Minister backed his Home Secretary's interpretation of the figures, which say immigration has little economic benefit. He described her speech as thoughtful in an interview with our political editor, Tom Bradley.
British immigration office.
His Home Secretary may say immigration doesn't have any economic benefit, but the trouble for the Prime Minister today is that figures produced by his own government suggest she's wrong.
Prime Minister, the Daily Telegraph, not a known bastion of leftist thinking, just described your Home Secretary's speech as ugly, awful, cynical and misleading. What did you make of it?
Well, I don't agree with that. I read the speech and thought it was a good speech, a thoughtful speech about how we need to control immigration, but also a bigger picture speech about how we cope with the breakdown in order in so many parts of our world and how we have to help people, for instance, fleeing Syria in the countries closest to that country. I thought there's a lot of very thoughtful material there.
She said, though, that immigration has no fiscal impact. But that's just not true.
Well, of course, you can measure these in lots of ways, because you've got to think also of the future impact. If your country becomes, if the pressure on your public services grows
what
too
the OBR
great,
is doing. That's the point I'm making to you.
And also, it's good that we have a growing population. That's very positive for us as a country. But you want to keep that growth under control.
Can we assume then that freedom of movement is absolutely on the agenda for your renegotiation with Europe?
Well, the point that Theresa makes in her speech, which is the point that I've been making, is that at the moment, we're getting a lot of migration from Europe because we've created more jobs than the rest of Europe put together. But when people come and work in Britain, they're also getting access instantly to something like as much as £10,000 of in-work benefits in the first year. And so you do have people sometimes training in skilled professions, perhaps even nursing in southeastern Europe, and then coming here and working in an unskilled profession. Now, that's not in those countries' interests, it's not in our interest, and that's why changing these welfare rules is such a key part of my negotiation.
Okay, but with respect, that wasn't my question.
Well, it is. Your question is about why are so many people choosing to come to Britain?
No, that wasn't my question. My question was about freedom of movement specifically, and I'm asking you just very straightforwardly, yes or no. Is freedom of movement and restricting it on the agenda for your renegotiation?
What's on the agenda is the welfare changes that are necessary to stop us having an unnecessary draw of people to the United Kingdom. But the idea that British people can go and live and work in another European country, or European people can come and live and work in Britain, that is something that's part of our membership of the European Union.
There's no possibility of us actually controlling the number of people coming to this country from the rest of Europe unless we leave. Still, that's not on the agenda.
We will bring under much better control the number of people coming here if we can address these welfare issues.
His critics say, though, he's been trying to do that for the past 5 years and has totally failed.
So, Tom, she clearly has the backing of the Prime Minister, but were you surprised by the tone of Theresa May's speech?
Mark, I was totally surprised. I think I would even go as far as to say that that speech was utterly incomprehensible to me and to a lot of other people who were listening. We, as you know, are under enormous pressure on issues like this. They're very divisive, people get very emotional, they have strong feelings about it, and we're under enormous pressure to try and put out some context, to try and provide some insight, to try and provide, facts that people can dispassionately focus on, and we try to do that. So a couple of years ago, as Richard was alluding there, we had this big report from the Office of Budget Responsibility. We went along, we looked at it in a very careful detail. It said very clearly that the impact of immigration on public finances was quite important in keeping our finances in relatively good order. We reported that. Not everyone liked it at the time, but that's what we're trying to do, and we're trying to report what the government said. We're trying to report their facts. And what you have, with Theresa May on an occasion like this, is coming out and saying something that doesn't appear to be borne out at all by her own facts. And that is very, very complicated and very difficult and very hard to make sense of. I've written a little more about it on my Facebook page if you want to go and look at some of the detail. But I think, what one can really say about today is it just isn't supported by the government's own facts.
All right, Tom, thank you very much.